This is Charles Martin, the author of New Hampshire Rail Trails. I've been on the board of the Friends of the Northern Rail Trail in Merrimack County for 15 years. For 10 years, we changed the surface of 34 miles of trail from ballast rock to stone dust. In this New Hampshire Rail Trails Coalition Nugget presentation, I'd like to introduce you to stone dust material, an excellent trail surface that is far less expensive than asphalt. In this picture, you see what it looks like on the Cheshire Rail Trail in Keene. What is stone dust? It is crushed stone, usually granite in New Hampshire. The key to success is having a mixture of sizes of the stone dust particles. Other names for the material are hardpack, knit pack, so named because a properly engineered mixture of particles knits together to make a smooth, long-lasting trail surface, and crushed gravel, probably the most descriptive name. This map shows the 57 miles of the Northern Rail Trail. 34 of those miles are in Merrimack County. The Boston and Maine Railroad had improved all but 2 of those miles with ballast rock. This is an excellent surface for water drainage and resistance to erosion. However, it is an awful surface for walking or bicycling. After the rails and ties were removed, the trail surface was ballast rock, as shown on the upper left. Our job was to change the surface to stone dust for easy bicycling and walking. The picture on the lower right shows what the surface looked like after applying the stone dust. When we started the trail resurfacing, we hated the ballast rock and graded it off to the side of the trail. After a while, we realized that the ballast makes a fine subsurface as it helps trail drainage and erosion resistance. This is the process we used. First, we leveled the ballast with a road grader. Then we tamped it down into the dirt underneath using a vibratory roller. At this stage, the trail was actually rideable with a mountain bike, but not the excellent surface we were after. The major part of the job was hauling in the stone dust and spreading it on the trail. A huge number of truckloads was required, and all needed to be met by one of our volunteers to sign off each load. The road grader then spread out the material to a thickness of about 6 inches. This required a highly skilled operator of the grader. Finally, the vibratory roller, often operated by our volunteers, compressed the material into the ballast subsurface. The stone dust layer on top ended up fairly thin, about 1 inch thick. The process was fine for the first 2 years. We ordered hardpack from a local pit without being particular about its composition. Then disaster struck in our 3rd year. We covered 2 more miles using a lot of volunteer help, and the result was terrible. People complained that the trail was stony, not nearly as nice as the results of the first 2 years. We had to go over the entire 2 miles a second time, using material that was mostly fines. That made the surface acceptable, but not as good as if we had used a correct mixture in the first place. Our lesson was that we needed to specify the material and test a sample from the pit against the specification. We talked with people involved in the wonderful carriage roads in the Acadia National Park in Maine. They gave us their specification. For New Hampshire's DOT, the trail specification looks like this. The idea is to pass the crushed gravel through several sieves and see how much of the material passes through. In our experience, The largest rock fragment should pass through a 3/8-inch sieve. The resulting material is often referred to as 3/8-inch minus. You need some fine particles for binding, but not a lot, or the result will be too sandy. The result is a fine surface for bicycling and walking and most active transportation modes. It is not appropriate for inline skating and will get chewed up by ATVs. The material costs about 10% as much as asphalt, so it is frequently chosen for rural trails with a lot of distance to cover. There are other ways to apply the material. Our transportation enhancement project of 8 miles had a contractor who covered the distance using a bulldozer instead of a road grader. Keene and Swansea have used paving machine technology that is more expensive, but results in a more uniform trail width. Do you have a topic you would like to share with other rail trail groups? If so, please contact us at info@nhrtc with the idea. Let's talk it over, and if the idea is a good one, we'd be happy to work with you on the technology needed to publish the nugget.